Many analysts and everyday observers see tariffs as Trump's go-to fix for everything. Critics say he overuses them to tackle trade gaps, foreign policy, and geopolitical disputes. Economists like Paul Krugman and Larry Summers warn this oversimplifies complex issues, risking economic fallout and instability. Steve Hanke adds that tariffs won't revive manufacturing, but will hurt working-class Americans. Trump believes otherwise.
We'll be putting a tariff on of approximately 100% on chips and semiconductors. But if you're building in the United States of America, there's no charge.
Even Republicans like Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, and Nikki Haley warn that overusing tariffs could damage the party and U.S. relations with friendly countries. Others say Trump's just doing what voters chose him for.
And a candidate that said, close the border, get illegal immigrants out of our country, stop the fentanyl, stop the human trafficking, stop the drugs, stop the crime, stop the violence. That's what Americans voted for.
Trump's tariff push may spur market shifts, de-dollarization, and make U.S. goods less competitive. Countries are fast-tracking trade deals, boosting local production and teaming up with non-U.S. buyers to stay ahead.
The US has historically been a third of our customer base, so we need to go and find alternative customers. What's sad is, this customer base was built up over 20 or 30 years, and that's all gone to pieces now. The reality is they still want to buy from us, but 30% tariffs is just unaffordable for them to buy at those sort of levels.
Despite Trump's 100% tariff threats, BRICS is shifting to bilateral trade and non-dollar reserves. The new development bank now holds approximately 40% in non-dollar assets, signaling a move away from dollar reliance. BRICS also aims to lead the global south with trade and aid free from dollar dominance.
There is this psychological aspect that you have to look at. Even if you disagree with the man, with Mr. Trump, you have to look at this psychological, I will say, part when you negotiate with him.
US households aren't at the table. Trump claims to speak on their behalf. Yet, tariffs may cost the US more than others, cutting GDP by 0.36% or $861 per household. They raise costs, hurt exports, and act as a tax, shrinking consumer power. In the end, tariffs may be less of a magic wand and more a blunt tool in the hands of the US president. The Economic Brief, DD India. Well, Dr. Charan Singh continues to be with us. Dr. Charan Singh, has the President Trump of the United States gambled with too much, with his tariff regime? Does it risk the US losing its influence rather than actually gaining more influence?
I totally agree with that observation of yours. I've lived in the US in 3 different cities, first in Boston, then in Palo Alto, and then in Washington, D.C. Let me tell you, the per capita income of the Americans is $82,000, but that doesn't mean that people in America, all of them have $82,000. There are people much below the poverty line of $14,000 to $15,000 per year. Now, these are the people who really cannot afford these luxuries of imposing tariffs because they come back to bite you in your own country. The prices of your goods are going to rise, and these are the people who are most vulnerable. They go to $1 shops, which are plenty in America. In almost every good marketing place, one street, you'll find $1 shop there. That's where they go and purchase, and that's where they go and buy. The second-hand goods shops are plenty. The second-hand furniture shops are plenty in America. There is a segment of Americans who are working 2 shifts to make their living. So therefore, assuming that everybody in America, all the 33 crore people have 82,000 per capita income is wrong. There's a very large section of Americans, especially the African Americans, who have to depend on this segment, and therefore any price rise, they're most vulnerable to it. Now, also please remember, by deterring countries and scaring them away, it is the American population itself, especially the vulnerable ones, who are going to suffer the most. In addition, by deterring other countries through tariff and getting that sort of a reputation, even good products, which others can afford, are going to become expensive. So therefore, my own reading is where you, as the largest economy in the world, accounting for 25% of world GDP, you could be commanding lots of respect rather than coming out so harshly. And as in India, we would say in a joint family, the elder brother has a role to play, and that's a more magnanimous role to play, and that creates goodwill. But if you kill that goodwill, it's very difficult to recover it. So my own feeling is, apart from the economics of it, and apart from the hitting the vulnerable sections, there's a global leadership which is also being dented. This may lead to multipolar world.
Dr. Charan Singh, also, you know, how does market diversification work? Because a lot of countries are now looking to find other markets. Can there be alternative markets that the US can't actually indirectly influence? Because you say 25% of global GDP they control, and they are the big brother in a joint family.
In history, if you see, for a very long time, the Brits were on the top economically. Then came the Americans. Now they are being challenged by Chinese, and we are in the queue too, and we are going to challenge all of them too. Russia is also there. Europe is also there. The very construction of the euro was in competition to the dollar, which was becoming a unipolar world. So there are lots of opportunities available there. You must have noticed that foreign trade agreements, regional agreements have suddenly become very, very important. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the Gulf Cooperative Council, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement that we have signed with the UAE, these are all becoming popular now. And the Global South is going to become very, very popular. And by the way, I must mention, Global South is the area where you will find in the next 15 to 20 years, there are resources, there is population, and that's where the markets are going to come. As you must have already noticed, this is already being discussed. Alternatives, and you mentioned in your report, alternatives to international reserves, international currency are also emerging. Euro is obviously one of them, but Chinese renminbi is also another one in recognition. And Indian rupee is already being traded in the neighborhood. And the foreign exchange reserves of the world are no more.
I'm afraid we've run out of time, Dr. Charan Singh, but thank you very much for, you know, putting that into perspective for us and helping us understand, you know, the greater depth of this story and how many ways it can influence our lives. Thank you very much, sir.